Gal, let's get started. Good morning. Good morning. I just saw that chat that came through from Judy Ford. And Judy, you are right. It is a great day to have a great day. So good morning to you and good morning to everybody. You know, I don't know if you had the opportunity, I guess it was day before yesterday, to watch my interview with Joe Viascusa. Man, guys and gals, if you didn't get the opportunity to watch that live, please go back and watch that. It was I think one of the most interesting, one of the most inspirational stories, one of the most inspirational interviews that I have done, because of really what Joe embodies. And I want to talk with you today about a couple of words that come to mind as I think about his story. Those of you who may not have had an opportunity to watch it, let me just share with you at least his story that he shared. It'll just take just a second to share it. The guy's been in real estate since 1986, and his first year in the business as a rookie, he did what most people wouldn't or couldn't believe possible. In fact, that's really what I want to chat with you about today is believe, the word believe, or maybe the word faith as well. So if you're taking notes, I want you to write that down. Write down the words believe and faith. They're critical. They're critical to our success. And we're going to talk about that this morning, but Joe's story of being a rookie, his first year in business, 1986, and that was 1986 was kind of the beginning of what turned into be what was known as the savings and loan crisis. And here's this young kid, never having sold anything in real estate for the first time, and he sells 99 homes in 12 months, his first 12 months, his first year. And he makes over $300,000. Now, I don't know about you, but $300,000 in today's world is a lot of money. Imagine in 1986 making $300,000. Some of you weren't even alive, so you can't imagine that. But those of you who were alive, imagine making 300 grand, over $300,000 in real estate, selling 99 homes as a rookie. My question is for you is, could you have done that? Those of you who aren't rookies, who didn't just start in the business. Could you have done that? And those of you who are rookies, could you do that? Or let me ask you, if you're, a seasoned veteran, could you do that now? And what would it take? See, what I believe is what it would take fundamentally, foundationally to begin with, would be that belief or that faith that I keep referring to. You'd have to have belief and faith that you could actually do it, to give you the opportunity to actually go about the business of doing it on a day-to-day basis. Guys and gals, Joe's story is not impossible. He's demonstrated that. But it's also, I think it happens more often, it's more common than most people believe or want to believe. See, I know somebody else who in her first year of business, she closed on 67 homes. 67 homes, guys and gals. But let me give you some facts about this story so you understand just how phenomenal that is. 67 homes in her first 12 months. And for about 4 of those 12 months, she was still in high school. That's right, I said it, high school. And she was not in her 12th year of high school. She was, an 18-year-old young lady who had just gotten her real estate license, still in high school. And for those first 12 months, did real estate and high school for the first 4 months and sold 67 homes and made nearly $250,000. So I ask you again, if Joe Viascusa can do it, if that young gal that I just shared with you her story, if she can do it, couldn't you do it? Whether you're a rookie listening to this, watching this, or you're a veteran, is it not possible that you could do it? And the answer is yes, but see, you have to have the belief and the faith that you could actually do it. See, one of my favorite mentors, one of my favorite heroes, a man I never met, but I feel like I know him because I've read so much about him and his words inspire me. Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is famous for saying many things, but one of the things that he said consistently that most of us know is that I am the greatest. That's what he said. Ad nauseum. His refrain was, I am the greatest. He said it to a point where it was almost cartoonish and people, would mock him or try to imitate him. But the fact is that those were very important words to Muhammad Ali. What is interesting is that that's not the entire quote. When he said, I am the greatest, the rest of the quote was, and I said that even before I knew that I was. This idea that he had faith and belief that he would become the greatest. That even at that moment when, by all measure, he wasn't the greatest because he had never beaten a champion. He was not Sonny Liston. You know, he wasn't a heavyweight champion. And yet, his refrain was, I am the greatest. See, he had belief and faith that he would become that. And the rest of the quote was, and I said that even before I knew that I was. So the question I have for you is, do you have belief and faith? See, so many of us do in so many ways, but do you have it in the arena of real estate, in your business life, in your ability to prospect every day and get the results that you want? See, you have belief and faith. Those of you who practice religion, go to church on Sunday, right? Those of you who pray, that's belief and faith. You practice that every day, every Sunday. You believe in a creator. You believe in an afterlife, right? How about when you go to the doctor? How many of you have ever had any sort of surgery, whether outpatient or inpatient, major surgery? Did you have faith that the doctor who was putting you under the knife knew what he or she was doing? See, my suspicion is that when you went in and the doctor shared with you that you were going to have to go under the knife or they were going to have to do some sort of procedure, whether it was inpatient or outpatient, you automatically believed, had faith that they knew what they were talking about. And my suspicion is that you didn't ask them to see their credentials. You didn't ask them what their GPA was in high school, in college, and in medical school. You didn't ask them where they went to medical school. You didn't ask them how many years they had been practicing medicine. You didn't ask them how many times they had actually done that particular procedure that they were going to do on you. Now, maybe somebody who's listening now or watching has, but the vast majority of us don't. You just don't. You have faith that they know what they're doing, that it's all going to work out. Everybody who's on this Zoomcast has likely been on a plane. When you got on that plane, you had faith that it was going to take off and land. It wasn't going to crash. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gotten on. See, the thing is, we exercise faith every single day in our lives, but oftentimes in some of the most critical areas, we fail to do that. So my question for you again is, could you do what Joe Villaescusa did? Could you do what that young lady did? Could you exercise the same amount of faith and type of faith and belief in your business that you do in your personal life, in your relationships, or in the religion that you practice, or the way you concede belief and faith to your doctor or to the airline pilot? And the answer, of course, is yes, because that is just a decision, but it's something that you consciously have to do and you have to work on it. The problem is, for most people, they've worked consciously and subconsciously for years to not have belief and faith in themselves in many arenas, including, of course, the arena of real estate and the business of real estate. So I want to share a story with you relative to this about belief and faith. It's about who was at this point a young man. His name is Stuart Anderson. Now, Stuart Anderson became an NFL player. He no longer is in the NFL. He's a former NFL player, but he was an award-winning NFL player. He was also a college star and also in high school, and not just in football, but also in basketball. But he became a professional football player ultimately. But Stuart Anderson was in an interview many years ago, and he was sharing this story relative to belief and faith. And it's an interesting one. I think it's an inspiring one. He was in his final year, his senior year, and it was the high school championship game. His team for the entire year had played well, had one of the best records, and they found themselves in the final game of the championship. And Stuart all year had played well, but in this particular game, he was not playing well. In fact, he had missed over 80% of his shots, and he had taken most of the shots in the game on his team. And at this point where he's talking about where they are in the game, they're down by 1 point. And it's the final seconds, time enough for one more possession for them. The game's on the line, only enough time for one possession. They've got an opportunity here to either win it or lose it. Well, Ciet had missed his last 7 or 8 shots at this point, and had missed over 80% of his shots in this game. And there they are in the team huddle, and the coach is working on drawing up a play. And Ciet realizes that as he's listening to the coach and he's watching on the paper that the coach is drawing on, that Ciet is not the guy who's going to get the ball. And Ciet stops the coach and he says, "Coach, wait a minute. I want the ball." And the coach looked at him and said, "Ciet, you've missed over 80% of your shots, and you've missed the last 7 or 8 shots that you have taken. Why would I give you the ball? I'm not giving you the ball. I'm going to give it to," and I don't remember the kid's name in the interview. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to give it to Timmy. Now, Timmy was junior varsity, but the kid played exceptionally well in this game. He was kind of picking up the slack, and that was the reason that Ciet's team was only down by 1 point at this point in the game. He'd given them a chance. And Timmy realized, holy cow, wait a minute. Coach wants me to take the shot over Ciet, who, Ciet's the guy. He's the star varsity player. This is the guy who's carried the team the entire year. And the coach is not going to give that guy the ball. He's going to give me, this junior varsity guy who, hasn't been the star. And the kid looks at the coach like, "I don't want it." And Ciet says, "Give me the ball. I am going to make it." So the coach kind of looks at him, kind of shakes his head, and starts to redraw the play. And he draws up a play that gives Ciet the ball. Now, I don't know about you, but imagine yourself being in that position where you missed over 80% of your shots. The team was losing because of you. You had missed 7 or 8 of your last shots, and you want the game-winning shot, the potential game-winning shot. Also could be the game-losing shot. And based upon the trend, it was going to be the game-losing shot. Well, so the play is written up, and everybody gets into position, and the game starts. Ciet ultimately gets the ball, and he takes the shot. And just as Ciet had predicted, he made the shot, and the team won. Now, I don't know if you thought that that's the way it was going to end or not, but that's the way it ended. It could have ended the other way. I mean, by all means, it could have ended the other way because of the fact that Ciet had missed over 80% of his shots and 7 or 8 of the last shots that he had taken. And yet he made the shot. Well, he was being interviewed and asked the question, "Why did you think that you could make the shot?" And Ciet said, "Well, because every time I have the ball and every time I take the shot, I believe that it's going to go in." The interviewer said, the journalist said, "Well, but wait a minute. You had missed 80% of your shots and the last 7 or 8 shots of the game. Statistically, you were going to miss the shot." And Ciet said, "No, statistically, I was going to make it because I had missed so many shots before that I knew that this time it was going to go in." Now, you can say, well, he didn't know that. Well, he did. He did. He had faith. He had belief. And that's all that mattered. That's all that mattered. So guys and gals, the question I have for you is, do you have the belief and faith to do what it takes every day to ultimately get the results that you want? See, what I find is this. Most people will place their sense of confidence in the results that they get. Imagine Stuart Anderson at that moment in that game, in that pivotal moment, at that juncture. Had he derived his confidence from missing 80% of his shots in the last 7 or 8 of them, how would he have felt? The fact is, he wouldn't have wanted that ball. In fact, he would have told the coach, "Coach, just keep me out of the game. I don't even want to be in the final play. Give it to this kid because he's making the shots." But see, the thing is that Stewart didn't derive his sense of self-confidence by the results that he got. See, I can't tell you exactly where his faith was placed, how he derived his confidence, but he had it. So here's something that I want to share with you. And this is critical. So just pause for a second and listen. How about instead of placing your faith in the results that you get, that you simply place your faith in the process, in the formula, in the system. And here's the thing, in real estate, what we do as professionals, we tend to make real estate more complicated than it is. Guys and gals, real estate is not as complicated as you think it is. You know, I watch people every single day get distracted by all sorts of things that ultimately have zero to do with success in real estate. Trying to figure out this system, or put together this marketing campaign, or designing a new sign or card. Looking for all these things that supposedly are going to make the difference between them losing or winning in real estate, becoming extraordinary or just simply being average. See, the most basic thing that you could do in real estate is to stop being distracted and to start focus on the fundamentals that really simply matter. And you know what they are. I don't even have to say it, although I'm going to, you know I'm going to, but you know what they are. The challenge is, for many of you, you don't like that answer. You don't like the answer. Now look, I may be preaching to the choir because you're the folks who got up early and are on this call and likely going to be prospecting after this. But my suspicion is that at least some of you are guilty of this, that you don't believe and you don't leverage the fundamentals. See, you look for other things because you don't like the answer. You don't like the answer that, wait for it, that prospecting will resolve all of your challenges that you face in real estate. I promise you, every challenge that you have will be resolved by prospecting. Don't have enough business? Prospecting. Want to work with more sellers? Prospecting. Lost a transaction? Prospecting. Have a seller who won't reduce the price of their home? Prospect more. I'm telling you, every challenge that you have, your skill sets aren't that good? Prospect more, because you'll learn how to communicate better the more people you talk to, because it's going to happen through experience of doing it the wrong way and doing it the right way, and you figuring it out. Okay, which pathway do I have to go? Boy, that didn't work. I got to change that. That worked. I'm going to keep doing that. See, have you placed your faith in the process? Have you placed your belief in the process? See, how many of you have ever been on a motorcycle or been in a race car? I've done both. I have a motorcycle. And one of the things that you will learn that they will teach you is this: you have got to have faith in that motorcycle, because if you don't, you will act very reluctantly. And when you are reluctant on a bike, especially when you're making turns, you're going down a road and you're making turns at high speeds, if you are reluctant, you increase your chances exponentially at having an accident. See, with a motorcycle, mine's almost 1,000 pounds. When you make a turn on a motorcycle, it's not simply like a car where you rotate the steering wheel, or on a motorcycle, it's the handlebars and the forks. You can't just simply rotate it. It's about leaning. I literally have to take my 200-pound frame along with that 1,000-pound bike, 1,200 pounds, and I have to lean into that turn. And sometimes, depending upon how sharp it is and how quick it is, I've got to do a dramatic amount of leaning, to the point, literally, that guys and gals, where the side of my bike will scrape on the road. And it has this little plate that protects it because it's designed to do that. See, the manufacturer says, look, if you're going to navigate these winding roads at high speeds on this bike, you better lean. And we're going to design the bike so that it can do it, and that so it's not damaged when you lean. Guys and gals, are you leaning into the system? Do you have faith that when there is a twist, a turn, that there's a hill that you're going to be able to navigate it. See, what I know is that you can, but if you don't believe you can, it doesn't matter what I believe. See, you have to have the faith. See, I have the faith and the belief you can do what Joe Villascusa did. Whether you're a rookie or a vet, you can do it. I know you can. But you have to have the faith. You have to have the belief. So I challenge you. I want you to identify right now. I want you to identify one area of your life where you know you exercise absolute faith. And if it's religion, great. If it's the faith in your spouse or your partner, so be it. Whatever the faith is that you have. The faith that the sun will rise and the sun will set. I don't care what it is. I want you to identify an area in your life where you have faith. Where you know absolutely it is rock solid, terra firma, North Star, granite. I have faith. Then I want you to imagine that if you exercise that amount of faith in real estate, in the process, in prospecting, getting up consistently, and getting into the office, and starting at the same time, as Joe said, and in making the calls consistently. See, Joe said, look, what I did for that first year, I asked him, how was that possible? How did you do it? He said, John, it was pretty simple. He said, 7 days a week, every day I prospected for 3 hours. That's what I did. So here's this kid, brand new in the business, never done anything like that before, just simply had faith that if he worked every day, now his system was 7 days a week. Do you have to work 7 days a week? No. It depends upon the results that you want. But 7 days a week, 3 hours a day, he prospected. See, that was his system. Now, I can tell you, if you're trying to create a system that doesn't involve prospecting consistently, you're not going to get the results that you want. You have to be on the right system. The system it's basically your job, guys and gals. It's to prospect. In other words, lead generate. It's to follow up with leads that you've generated to incubate those relationships to the point that when they're ready to buy or sell real estate, that they choose you versus the competition. That you then set appointments with those people when they are ready, and you pre-qualify those appointments before you go out, and then you present to those people in a very powerful way that separates you from the competition, providing value to them so that they work with you versus their other choices. See, if you'll wake up every day and say, look, all I have to do today is set one appointment, talking to buyers and sellers. In other words, if I prospect every single day, if I do that consistently, I'll get the results that I want. Because you will, I promise you. I've coached far too many agents over a decade, and I've had my experiences over 27 years, next week, 27 years in this business, to see people come and go, and those who stay are those who lean into the system that I just outlined for you. Look, if I said to you 10 times 10, you would say what? Somebody put it in the chat. I'm not going to say it. What is 10 times 10? Making certain you're paying attention. Somebody, don't leave me hanging. What's 10 times 10? Some of you are getting your calculator out. Thank you, Judy. It is 100, right? If I said 5 times 5, you would say 25, right? If I said 3 times 3, you'd say 9. Now, how do you know that? Well, you understand the formula. You understand that, Michael, thank you. I got 100% on that test. But you understand the formula. If I said 5,672 times 10,370, what's the answer? Do you know the answer? And of course, you'd say, just a second, let me get my calculator. You'd run the numbers, right? And would you come up with the correct answer? You would. But if you didn't have a calculator, could you come up with the correct answer? And of course you could, because you would take a pen and a piece of paper and you would write down the numbers and you would use the formula. You would leverage the formula. You would lean into the formula and you would get the answer. Now, can you sometimes input the numbers, use the formula, and get the wrong answer? And the answer is what? Yes, that happens often. Stuart Anderson, he followed the formula, missed 80% of his shots. The last 7 or 8, he missed them. And yet he had faith that if he kept doing it, he would make the shot and win the game. Guys and gals, it's very simple. Stop complicating this business. Be consistent and persistent at leveraging that simple formula. Get up every day and prospect, talk to people. And if you don't do anything else, I tell you, you will still be successful. But if you do everything else but that, you will fail. You will fail. See, Stuart Anderson wouldn't be a champion if he didn't take the shots. Your shots in the business of real estate, prospecting. There aren't going to be enough people in this business who are going to call you up and say, Billy, Bob, Timmy, Jane, Susan, I want you to come over and sell my house. Now, does that happen sometimes? It does. That's not normally the way this works. Look, this business is not a retail business. People don't walk in and say, I want to buy your product. It's a direct sales business. You're going to have to get on the phone and knock on doors and find the people, get in the way. They don't know that you're out there. So get out there and introduce yourself to these people. Let me finish with this story, guys and gals, because I realize that this business is not easy. It's not. There's a lot more rejection than acceptance in this business. I get it. There will be more people telling you no than yes. It's a fact. It's a fact of life. It's a fact of the business. And the sooner we recognize that and get okay with that, the better off we'll be. You know, it's probably been, at this point, 7 years or so. I was with my son, and we had created this very cool looking and what we deemed fast Lego car. We had created it for the Lego Derby in his Boy Scout or Cub Scout troop, rather. And we were very confident because we took this Lego Derby car that was propelled by a balloon. That's the way these were propelled. You had to engineer this car and you had to propel it with a balloon. And we had designed what we thought was a fantastic design. And we tested it several times on a track, the kitchen floor. And it performed very well on the kitchen floor, many times, to the point that we were high-fiving saying, yes, we got this. So we show up a few nights later to the race. And we're watching these other cars, and there were some pretty cool cars, you know, and they were pretty fast, but we were confident it was going to work. If we didn't take first, you know, we were going to place. So it was Jack's turn. He puts his car down there on the track. You know, he inflates the balloon, he puts it in position. He lets go of the neck of the balloon. And we've all heard it because we've all played with balloons, right? The sound that a balloon makes when the air is being expelled out the neck and the mouth of the balloon, right? Like a raspberry. It was making that noise, right? And the car didn't go anywhere. He looked at me and I looked at him like, buddy, I don't know. It worked every time that we tried it at home. Try it again. Make certain that the wheels aren't stuck, you know, just check the car out and inflate the balloon, but inflate it more this time. You know, put the balloon at, you know, maximum expansion. So we did that. He let loose again, same result. It moved maybe 5 or 6 inches, but the thing wouldn't move, right? He tried it again and it didn't move. And at this point, he is like losing his mind. He's starting to get very upset. I can see it. He's twitching. He's starting to cry. And at the race, you know, you really only get one chance, but they're giving this kid multiple chances. And we get to a point where it's like, we can't give him any more chances. There's somebody behind him. We got to stay on track and so forth. And Jax is feeling all of this pressure. He grabs this Lego car and he runs off, just huffing and puffing, not screaming or crying yet, but then he runs off into this hallway that didn't have any lights on it. And I could hear him start to just scream and just like have a come apart. And so I followed him into this dark hallway, and he was down in the corner of the hallway, just sitting down, crouched down, and just bawling. He was upset. And I said, buddy, what's wrong? And he looked up at me with this look of like, don't you know what's wrong? And it was like this anger. He said, I'm a loser. And I just looked at him and I just said, buddy, it's okay. And he said, no, I'm a loser. I said, really? I said, you're a loser? Because why? He said, because my car, it didn't work and I didn't win. And I said, buddy, let me share something with you. I said, in life, you're going to have these situations that you're going to try something and it's not going to work out the way you expect. And the only thing that will make you a loser is if you decide that trying it once and not getting result that you want, you quit. You'll be a loser. He said, see, what winners realize and what they figure out is this, that they will try and fail. They will try and fail. They will try and try again, and they will fail. They realize that there is more failure in success than there is success, because success is built upon failure. Thomas Edison, over 1,000 iterations of the light bulb, over 1,000 guys and gals, before he came up with the commercially viable light bulb. It's a darn good thing he didn't give up at 372, or number 2, for that matter. The Wright brothers, the number of versions that they had to come up with, and the number of times they tried to take flight, and yet they didn't give up. See, Edison's a winner. The Wright brothers are a winner because they failed more than anybody else. See, there were others who tried what Edison was trying. There were others who tried what the Wright brothers were trying. But the reason we know the names Orville and Wilbur or Thomas Edison is because those people didn't give up. They failed more than anybody else, and as a result, they found the answer. There are many examples. I saw that in the chat line that a name came through, which is Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc is a great example. Colonel Sanders is a great example. Walt Disney is a great example, right? There are so many examples out there, guys and gals, that we don't have to wonder if it's possible. You don't have to wonder if it's possible. The only question you have to ask is, am I going to be the one who's willing to do it? Am I the person who's going to be willing to have the faith, the belief that if I stick with the system and lean into it, and even though there are times where I'm not going to get the results that I want, that I keep with it, if I am persistent, despite the results, that over time, I will win. Because that is the promise. I promise you that. It's called faith. It's called belief. And you already exercise it. So why not exercise it in your business of real estate? So guys and gals, enough said. I just hope that you take the time to figure out where you exercise faith in your life and transfer that faith to your business and go out and do what it takes, leaning into the system, the formula of simply showing up and calling those people, knocking on the doors and reaching out to people. Reaching out to people is not a postcard. It's not an ad. It's not social media. It's talking to people, person to person, picking up the phone, seeing them face to face. That is prospecting. If you will do that, I promise you, that system, if you lean into it, if you have faith and you exercise it every single day, will give you the life that you want in this business and overall the life that you want. Because real estate just isn't about real estate. It's about you and who you have to become that top producer. And that top producer is more than just somebody who has faith in prospecting. It's somebody who has faith in themselves that they can accomplish whatever it is that they want. And I know that you're capable of doing that. So I'm glad you joined me today. I hope you have a great day and a great week. Have the faith, keep the faith, and let's finish up with some closing affirmations. Here we go.